Are you Scottish? What makes you Scottish? What makes anyone Scottish? If you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen and click the thumbs up button at the end of this video if you've enjoyed it. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. Were you born in Scotland? Do you wear a kilt? What's your clan? Have you done a DNA test? Do you eat square sausage and drink iron brew? Do you talk like me or with half-baked totty in your mouth? Do you take a drink? If I called you a fanny, would you mistake it for an arsehole? Do any of these things really even matter? Tell me in the comment section below if you're Scottish, and if you are, what makes you Scottish in the first place? Here on Scotsman's Hill's a good place as any to answer that question. Behind me, Calgary, Alberta is a bustling city of 1.4 million people, but I'll bet that very few of them realise that this place is named after a beautiful little hamlet with a gorgeous sandy beach on the Isle of Mull. Traces of Scotland abound in this country, indeed all over this continent. But in the comments section on this channel and elsewhere, I've seen debate rage between Scots and the wider diaspora as to who can call themselves Scottish. I had one American rage with indignation because he'd had an argument with some Scottish person who told him he wasn't Scottish. I said, it's easy. Just ask the question, who do you support in a football game between Scotland and the USA? That'll tell you if you're Scottish. I didn't hear back. He was probably watching his football team in some major international finals. But as I've spent this summer travelling across Canada, it struck me that I might have oversimplified things. In Cape Breton, there's still a Gaelic-speaking community where Gaelic signs adorn roads, and Scottish shops sell more tartan shortbread tinnery than you can buy in the Royal Mile. I went to a ceilidh. I met descendants of the giant McCaskill, whose museum you'll see at Dunvegan on the Isle of Skye. And I asked myself the question, could these folks, who share the same head estate as I do, be Scottish? Thousands of Highlanders crossed the ocean and settled in Cape Breton. They spoke Gaelic. Some of them still do. They owed allegiance to the crown. Some still do. They married amongst themselves. You can insert your own Fife joke at this point. When would they stop being Scottish? Of course, over time, they mixed with French, English, Irish, indigenous Mi'kmaq. Okay, so how many of these peoples have to marry into the Scottish community before it stops being Scottish? And what's the cultural measure? You can see Scotland itself was changing, losing its languages, customs, and culture. Is it possible it's the people of Cape Breton who are really Scottish today, and people in Scotland have become something else? What makes you Scottish? Our American friend's assertion of Scottishness was presumably due to heritage. He had ancestors who were Scottish, maybe even his parents. It's not unreasonable for him to consider himself Scottish, is it? He's not the only one. Rod Stewart, born to Scottish parents in London, touts his Scottishness. My wife was born to Scottish parents who emigrated to Australia. She doesn't in any way see herself as Australian. But what if she hadn't come home at the age of 4? 50 odd years later, would she still see herself as Scottish? Who decides for her, or for Rod Stewart, or for anyone else for that matter? Do you recognise this guy? An international footballer with an impressive goal-scoring record. Clearly, he can't be Scottish. And yet his name is Roy Mackay. And of course, he is Dutch. The Scots Brigade was an infantry regiment of Scots in the Dutch army. It was established in 1586. Over time, and with political ups and downs, many Scots stayed in the Netherlands. And you get the picture. A young Dutch viewer told me about a friend of his also named Mackay. Now, my young Dutch friend, with his interest in Scottish history, explained to his Mackay pal the source of his name and his Scottish connection. His friend pooh-poohed the idea, having no interest in his Scottish heritage. Meanwhile, in Canada, there's a Clan Mackay society who'll trumpet their Scottishness. Is Scots heritage enough to make you Scottish? Genetic tests are all the rage these days. I did one myself for an earlier video. It turns out everything might not be as it seems. Anyway, you can click the link top right to see that video, or search for Scottish African gets DNA results. Every week, some racist tells me, irrespective of my mum, I'm not Scottish because my dad's from Ghana. Come away, the Black Stars. The classic line is, just because a cat's born in a kennel, it doesn't make it a dog. Missing the basic biological point that cats and dogs are different species. But a dog is still a dog, whether it's black, white, grey or Dalmatian. Scotty dogs are black and white. Oh, don't mind if I do. Nice legs, good body. An American pal earlier might have a reasonable point. But if I understand them correctly, what these genetic tests do is they look at genetic makeup of various populations today. People living in Scotland, people living in Sweden, Spain, Italy, New York, London, Paris, Munich, everybody talk about pop music, everybody talk about pop. Sorry about that. The point is that the extent to which your DNA matches the data sampled from established groups gives a measure of your Scottishness, Irishness, etc, etc, etc. The more data the company has from these different population groups, the better their measure of your percentage of each different nationality. I did have one bloke bang on about his ancestry being Scottish right back to the Picts or the Ice Age or some nonsense like that. Scotland didn't exist until the 9th century. That's when the Picts joined with the Scots to form Alapa. Genes from the immigrant population Scots mixed with existing Pictish DNA to form the genetic makeup of Scotland. Actually, scientists have got some debate about whether or not the Scots Gaels were actually immigrants from Ireland, but that's another story. These two groups came together partly because of the threat of the Vikings, a third immigrant population to throw their genes into the melting pot. South of the Forth Clyde line, Anglo-Saxons and Britons added to the pot as well. Are Borders DNA and Argyll DNA both Scottish? Is Scottish DNA the 4th century Pictish stuff, or should we start with the 9th century DNA with immigrant Scots coming over here, taking our jobs? Or the 11th century stuff when the Vikings had been around for a bit and Angles and Britons were joining from the south? What about the Normans? I had a debate recently with somebody who argued that Robert the Bruce wasn't Scottish, he was Norman. A Norman cat in a Scottish dog's kennel, no doubt. That conveniently ignores the fact that his mother was Celtic. And it was his 4 times great granddad who'd left Normandy with David I. And Norman DNA must have some of the same stuff as Norse Highland clans because they all came from Norsemen. And isn't it all a bit subjective? And all those folks who tell me that they're descended from Robert the Bruce, are they even Scottish at all? Or would their Y-DNA test thingy show them to be Norman or French or Scandinavian or Irish or a Scottish fox in an English henhouse trying to lay a chicken? Missus. So Scottish DNA is a mixture of lots of different historical immigrant groups. The Proclaimers wrote a song about that. But can DNA really define Scottishness? Maybe it's... Lots of Scottish folks will argue with the wider diaspora that it's where you were born that defines your Scottishness. Now, that's not only going to upset Rod Stewart or my wife, and we don't want to upset her, or a whole load of guys who played rugby or football or some other sport for Scotland but were born abroad to Scottish parents. I think of the people that I've met when I've gone to perform burn suppers for expat communities. Children of expats who were born abroad but see themselves as Scottish. At a burn supper in Singapore, there was exactly such a guy. Kilted and proud. Is he Scottish? Oh, it's where he was brought up. At the same burn supper was a wee Malay type guy. Now, if I've got the story right, his dad was in the military or some such thing, and he grew up in Scotland. I'll never forget him at a ceilidh with his bairns. His wee brown face lit up with the joy and reminiscence of songs from his Scottish childhood. As his bairns sat bored to tears with what to them was their dad's weirdness. Was he Scottish? Was the expat reared bloke Scottish? Maybe both of them. Maybe none of them. What about the wife of one of my Patreon members who revealed that she grew up adopted in the US, but later in life found out her Scottish connections? Is she Scottish? I think we're going to need a different definition. The health gurus say you are what you eat. Could it be what we consume that makes us Scottish? Iron brew, square sausage, brown sauce, haggis and deep-fried Mars bars. Now, for those of you abroad watchers tuning in, I've lived in Scotland all my days, and I've never eaten a deep-fried Mars bar. I've never seen a deep-fried Mars bar in real life. I've never watched somebody eat one. I've never seen somebody cook one. One afternoon, I had tea with a Loch Ness monster, and when I mentioned deep-fried Mars bars, she looked at me as if I lived in a fantasy world. I'm not saying that there's not a fish and chip shop in Stonehaven sitting with Mars bar and batter at the ready, waiting for some strung-out, sugar-addicted tourist whose life's fallen apart since he bought a banana fritter from a street-level dealer in Edinburgh. Oh, aye. The banana fritter's the gateway drug of deep-fried confection. I mean, I do eat all the other stereotypical Scottish foods because I know that doctors' advice is an English plot to keep us alive long enough to suck the blood out of us that bit longer. You might ask, is it what we drink that makes us Scottish? And if you can find a Scottish person sober enough to answer that question, they're probably one of the 14% of Scottish men and 18% of Scottish women who don't drink alcohol. An admirable patriotic sacrifice to let the rest of us drink more. Don't tell me they're not Scottish. Maybe it's the way you dress. everybody knows that Scottish folks wear tartan. Okay, maybe that doesn't work either. If you've chosen to live here, you're Scottish. Oh, the wokery! I can hear the calls now. I have to admit to being a wee bit woke myself. But I can see some flaws in this approach. My mate Scott was born in Australia to Scottish parents. He came to Scotland in secondary school, but in his late 50s, still resolutely refuses to take up British citizenship with all the convenience that that would offer, because he is Australian. He's chosen to live here. He'll probably die here before being taken home to be scattered on Monkey Mountain, no doubt. In spite of his Scottish parents and partial Scottish upbringing, he's Australian. My son was born in Scotland, grew up in Scotland, is predominantly genetically Scottish, whatever that means. He's one of those healthy eating teetotal freaks that should be deported for their food and drink habits. And right enough, now he lives, at least for the time being, in Australia. He reckons he's become more Scottish since he arrived in Australia. In fact, it was in Australia that he truly understood how boomerangs work. When you throw them, the Australian boomerang comes back. A Scottish boomerang just sings about coming back. My boy reckons that what makes you Scottish is your culture. Now, forget the tartan frippery and North American Highland Games. He reckons the true measure of whether you're Scottish is if you get the sitcom Still Game, which was partly written by a Canadian. The point is that he reckons its humour is the essence of Scottish culture. And whilst I agree with him to some extent, what about Scotland the what? You see, to me, Still Game has a West Coast feel to it. It's very different to the deeply northeastern comedy troupe Scotland the what. And what about sitcoms and Gaelic TV? Isn't our language our culture? And Scotland's got 3 different languages. Now, can I give a shout out at this point to my mucker, Billy Kay? Billy's excellent book, The Mother Tongue, was the basis for the information in my video about the Scots language. But he's also written a second fantastic book called The Scottish World, A Journey into the Scottish Diaspora, about the Scots language throughout the Scottish diaspora. You can get all these, along with his most recent book, Born in Kyle, on Amazon in either written or, even better, audiobook format, read by Billy himself in a way that folks abroad will understand. I'll leave a link in the description. The point is that there are at least 3 languages in Scotland and a multitude of different accents, from Highland to Doric to Border, Ouija, East Coast, Teuchter and Ori Dundonian all sound different. Of course, God meant us to speak like us fae Perth. I'm always amused when some foreigner tries to put on a Scottish accent and doesn't come anywhere close to replicating any one of them. And when I say amused, obviously I mean pissed off. There's no one accent. There's no one culture. To single out bagpipes and tartan is to ignore border ridings, Doric poetry or up Helia in Shetland. Now there's a debate about who's Scottish and who's not. And what about the kilt-wearing Highland Games going clan calling North Americans, Australians, South Africans, Kiwis and more? Where do they fit in? On stage at Arts Commons Engineered Air Theatres, where I'll be performing my show Stories of Scotland in Calgary tonight. Now, if previous Canadian shows are anything to go by, when I look out from stage, there'll be people born in Scotland, people brought up in Scotland, people with Scottish DNA, people with Scottish heritage, people who attend Highland Games, burn suppers, eat haggis and shortbread, and at least from time to time, take a drink. It seems to me that no one thing in the list that I've given makes you Scottish. It's more like a Venn diagram with lots of subsets that intersect, and you have to be a member of more than one set. It's like being born in Scotland might not be enough to make you Scottish, but folks who weren't born in Scotland but fit into several other sets are. If you make a clouty dumpling, there's only certain ingredients you can get away without before it's no longer a clouty dumpling. Maybe there's a points hurdle that you have to get over in order to join the club. Different qualifiers give you different points. Like, maybe you get more points for watching still game than you get for having a Scottish ancestor. I don't know. There are different points for having Scottish blood or having square sausage running through your blood. And some folks will argue that if you call it square sausage rather than sliced sausage, then you don't get any points at all. Or maybe it's like a game of kerplunk. You know that game where you push lots of little sticks through a cylinder in all different directions to create a sugary, uncertain floor, and then you drop in a whole load of marbles on the top, and one by one you pull out the sticks, trying not to let the marbles fall. Each stick represents some aspect of Scottishness. In an independent Scotland, I think this should be the visa application process. They set up a game of kerplunk and they ask a series of questions. Do you like iron brew? No. Whoa! And they pull the stick out. Which character in still game has only one leg? Careful. Say Ochtermachty. I think we should make the application process public. It should be shown on live TV. Wouldn't it be brilliant? It'd be great watching the preferred applicant for CEO of some public body coming up from down south, shiting themselves, wondering if they'll get a work permit or if the critical stick's going to get pulled because he chose red sauce instead of brown sauce in his rolling square sausage. Whoosh! Kerplunk! Ya fanny! Aye. Maybe took that too far. Which is actually answer number 14. There's no one thing that makes you Scottish. It's many things. And Scottishness is like a ripple created by dropping a pebble in a pond. Over the years, that ripple has spread out and crossed oceans. But as it does, it becomes more diffuse. Sometimes it intersects with other ripples created by a different pebble, making different shapes and patterns in the water. There's a beauty and complexity in it. Of course, you know that sometimes some idiot comes along and drops a boulder in the pond and disturbs the rippling water with a tsunami of destruction. Like 1707. You didn't get that? I might have to pull your last twig at kerplunk. Here's the thing. A pebble dropped once and forgotten will dissipate to a flat calm and be overtaken by bigger waves. We need to protect the source. If my son ever comes back from abroad, I'll always want him to respect the culture and nations that he encounters. But I hope he'll never forget that he's Scottish and disturb the pond accordingly. The pebble needs polished and protected. Oh, if you like videos about Scottish culture, then I've made a few on this channel. There's one you should really watch coming up on screen now. Support the channel by clicking top right to become a Patreon member or buy me a coffee in the description below. In the meantime, ha' mi an dóchas gon be lam alive. Cheery and Rasta.